All right, we're live, everybody. Thank you for joining us for another Thursday Carnivore Mastermind. I'm excited, as always, to be with you guys here in the chat, and I've got a few of us here tonight to discuss the topic of the week. We have a few of us tonight, but I'm still excited to get everybody's opinion on the topic, and it's always good to have a chat and get some different opinions. The goal of this series is to really offer that, to kind of offer a different selection of stories and backgrounds and ideas when it comes to living this lifestyle, troubleshooting, how to find the path for you on this lifestyle. And so the goal is, having guests on so that that you can connect with something from somebody's individual story that will help you or maybe inspire you. And so these are always really fun. And I appreciate the time that you guys on the panel here contribute to this and everybody watching. So let's jump into the poll first off for this week. And I'll go through some of your comments as well, because so this week it's almost like a part two to last week. And I got to thinking, like, maybe this is a repeat episode, but I was thinking about last week's topic and some of the things that were brought up and some of the comments. And I thought, let's go ahead and do that. Let's do sort of a part two, which is, because last week we talked about side effects and, different things, positive and negative, that we may have noticed at different points in our journey. And I thought, let's highlight that point in the journey part, because I think that also gives a lot of context to, like, I know my journey in particular and a lot of ours, like things we noticed early on versus things that change one way or the other as we get further down the road. And so the poll of the week asked you, how long did it take before you started seeing benefits from switching to a proper human diet? Please leave a comment below about your experience. So 75% of you did vote for 30 days or less. So the vast majority said within a month, you were noticing positive benefits. 15% said 90 days it took you to start seeing some sort of results. 4% said 6 months, and then 6% said 1 year or more. And so I think I just got into month 10 on my journey this time. I'm almost ready to break my record from last time. It was 11 months and change. And so again, I'm kind of like you, Christy. I don't know exactly the date that I started this time, but I went back in my phone and tried to find, like, okay, when did I, basically stop drinking alcohol? Because that's when I really count as starting over again. So anywho, I wanted to highlight a few comments here from what you guys left on here, because again, I think it gives a good context as to what you can expect, and that this is a journey and it's not just kind of everything happens right away. And then, it's kind of not any fun from there. It keeps getting funner the further we go, right? So Hyperion Carnivore says, I was keto for about 5 years. I went carnivore originally just for contest prep for bodybuilding. And within 2 weeks, you had years-long impingements in both shoulders disappear, which I thought was so cool. Yeah, no way. I was only going to be carnivore temporarily, but after that, you said, no way, you're eating plants again. And that's very painful. And so I imagine, yeah, definitely that's a convincing side effect to have right out of the gates there. Darth Carnivore says you started out on dirty keto, end of the proper human diet spectrum, but after the first 6 months, you did lose 75 pounds, began having enough energy to do basic house chores. Now you're down 175 pounds, eating carnivore, in between carnivore and lion, lots of energy, feeling great. Within 5 days, Candy S. Mueller says 20 years of depression is lifted and gone. I love that. Absolutely love that. And then Canada, this is kind of the type of comment that I was interested in, mostly like different levels of healing, right? Brain fog lifted, gum bleeding, deeper sleep within 2 days, unrelenting arthritis pain eased within 3 months. Now still waiting for energy and weight loss, and you're almost a year in. Been battling recurring infections, so you started adding some longer term fasting. Pounds are moving now, but energy not so much, but you think you'll get there. And it's a miracle you can dress myself given what you were fed as a baby, right? I thought that was really funny. And many of us were in that situation, right? So, and there's several more here that are great. Anne says, as soon as you started, no more sugar and alcohol cravings. I certainly experienced the same thing with alcohol. I didn't expect that I was gonna really ever lose that deep desire to have a drink every night and all that kind of stuff. And so thanks to everybody who left a comment and voted in this week's poll. I love hearing from all of you and just kind of getting all that information, right? It's nice to hear your stories of success, but I also want to know the things that, that you're struggling with. And that's why we kind of bring all this to the table so that we can try to troubleshoot some things and help out. Disclaimer, none of us are medical professionals. We're not offering official medical advice, but we're just sharing our experiences. So we'll go around the round table tonight and let y'all comment on this topic. So, again, we talked about side effects and things that we've experienced last week, but in the context of time frame, what's happened already and what are you potentially looking forward to in the future as far as healing or whatever your goals might be.
Okay, well, I was not able to make it last week, and it was such a cool topic, and I wish I could have. So it was nice to hear you say this is kind of a part 2. So I'm glad to be here for part 2. So as far as the time frame for my healing, I'm very, very happy to say that I would have chosen when did I first start seeing benefits? Within the first 30 days is for sure when I started seeing benefits. And I'm very glad that I did, because if it wasn't for that, some of the things I experienced along the way might have dissuaded me had I not had such awesome benefits right away that kind of still stuck around. And what do I mean by that? I mean that within the first 30 days, I had social anxiety that I didn't even know that I had, that just was gone. And all of a sudden I'm like, yeah, I'll hang out with people. Yeah, I'll go out and do this with you. And it was like, that was not me. I just kind of had wanted to hide in my house. And so that right away. And then I was just shocked that I was like, oh, so I'm not just a hermit then. Got it. And I just really started enjoying, my overall life so much more. Also very, very quickly, my energy levels started to go up. So I would before I would kind of go to work, barely make it through the day, come home, sit on the couch and do nothing because I had energy to do nothing. Very quickly, I started exercising. I started having the energy to, start this crazy YouTube channel, do interviews and all this stuff, after teaching a room of 30 10-year-olds all day, which does take a lot of energy. But I came home, I had, 45 minutes of downtime and I'm like, woohoo, I get to get on with Nia and whatever other awesome people are on. And it turns out it's 2 of my favorite people. Hi, JT and Anna. All of that is great. My inflammation that I had in my right hand from gripping the expo marker and my grip of death for 24 years teaching. We do a lot of writing. That's gone. My right knee used to swell and ache, and I couldn't really exercise because of that. Like I couldn't do squats or anything of that nature. And I can bust out 100 squats at once now, and my knee's fine. And then my lower part of my legs, like my ankles, when I was pregnant I have 2 kids. So both times I was pregnant, I got really bad ankle swelling. But then after I was pregnant and like a long time after, my ankles would just kind of continue to swell. And I was like, what the heck? But yeah, that's gone. That's gone. And so I think that was just inflammation. And my acne got way better. My skin started to glow a little bit more. And, I can't think, there's probably some others, right? But this all happened within the first 30 days. And it was like, woohoo, this is awesome. And then my hair started to fall out, which was not so fun. And then I kind of really embraced the just eat till you're full kind of thing. And then the weight started to come back on. And so I've kind of struggled with, and who knows, I'm 48, maybe it's hormones, right? Like these are all things I need to get checked out and tested. But the reason that I went keto first was to lose weight. So when the weight started coming back on, if I didn't have those other benefits, I'd been like, well, I'm out of here. This is not helping me keep my weight off. But like, I came into this way of eating for the weight loss, but I don't stay for that anymore. It's because I felt so miserable and now I'm feeling so good, right? So it's like, why would I go back? And then there's enough people out there. I want to say that I really appreciate kind of the variety of channels that I see out there. Like I see people like Nia who I think struggle like me or have struggled like me with things. I know she's had to like track and kind of manage things and tweak things. And it hasn't just been a super smooth sailing journey. So that when my journey isn't super, it's not just this, right? It's fine because I think that I will get there. I don't think, oh, well, this didn't happen. So I'm just going to go back to eating, whatever. I know that it will happen and I will figure it out. And it's fine. And then I see other people that give me hope, the people that seem to have that, just almost straight line. I just lost 100 pounds and I feel awesome and I'm just doing all this stuff. And okay, good for them. And that is also what gives me hope that maybe that can happen for me and that it may not just be, a perfectly straight line. So, just to reiterate, the things I'm currently struggling with, I think my thyroid is a little wonky. I think my female hormones, because of the age I am, are a little wonky. My hair did start to grow back. It's not as thick as it was, but I have a lot of like new hair growth, so that part's good. Hopefully it'll all come back and we'll be good with that. And then, a little bit of weight gain. We'll see. We'll see what happens. But I'm optimistic and I'm not going anywhere because I'm still feeling so amazing. So I'm gonna hand it off to you guys, JT and Anna.
Hey guys, now I had a little bit of a plateau, like a weight stall. Just you were just talking about like gaining weight actually, and so I actually, I've been adding in weightlifting, so my scale was going up, but then we started measuring, and my waist was going down, like my stomach was getting smaller. So I suggest people like don't just look at the scale, like do measurements too, because the scale sometimes like you could be holding water weight, building muscle, or both, and it doesn't tell the true story of like what's going on. But part of my weight stall, like I wasn't losing weight for like the last 4 months, and then I saw, I think it was Courtney Luna, if you guys know who she is. She had a video on a weight stall, and she said she upped her protein and lowered her fat, and that started to chew on more of the fat in her body rather than giving it all it needs and then it not consuming the energy from the body. So that's what I've been doing lately. So I've been telling her like she likes the ribeyes with the fat all over them, and that's cool. But I want a real lean steak with no fat on it lately, just so I can get my body to start eating off my own fat. So I've been upping my protein and lowering my fat. And thanks to Courtney, I am losing weight again. So I appreciate her and that tip. So if anybody does have a weight loss stall, I just want to put that out there before I talk about um, what has been healing me, because that's been like the last 4 months just bugging the hell out of me. I just cannot. But I'm moving again, which is good. But as far as like when does carnivore, like the healing and stuff kick in? For me, it was the first 30 days. I had everything from like hemorrhoids, IBS, sleep apnea, and anxiety, depression, you name it. It all went away in the first 30 days. And I mean, weight loss was cool and all that. I couldn't even tell you how much weight I lost in the first 30 days. I honestly don't care. Um, the fact that I could list off those like 5, 6 things I just told you and say that they're gone in the first 30 days, that's the most important thing to me about my first 30 days is it's all gone. So that's why I actually tell people when they start carnivore to try it for a month, because I feel like a week is, I mean, that's cool, but like a month, give yourself some time to heal and see how you feel on the diet. And for me, I went a month, then 2 months, 3 months, and I mean, I'm almost at a year now. I just kept taking it a month at a time, and I don't want to stop. So that's all I would say about a month. What do you think, Sweet?
Yeah, I saw a lot of changes within the first 30 days. Some changes came kind of after and along this journey, but some of the things that I experienced was JT told me I stopped snoring. So that happened pretty quickly, like within the first few days. So I think some of my inflammation went away pretty quickly. I also just slept better too on top of that. I think that's kind of connected, but I also just had more energy. That I noticed pretty quickly. Um, yeah, and some of the longer term ones that I noticed is I used to have really dry, cracked skin on my feet, and that has gone away. I used to have dry patches on my ankles, and those have randomly just gone away. Um, I noticed the other day my skin tags I have some on either side of my neck. They're shrinking. So I really love that. I've always been a little more self conscious about that. Um, I also work with kids, and so I just noticed I'm able to keep up with them more and, play more with them and do all that fun stuff. And the other day I sprinted to get William, and afterwards I realized I wasn't out of breath, which is really nice. And before, when I was much heavier, I was always out of breath. And so obviously another one for me is weight loss. I think that's what I had in mind when I started, but after being on the carnivore lifestyle for so long, I noticed that all the other positive changes. So it's so much more than weight loss. And for me too, I've noticed I'm less anxious. I used to have some depression, especially after having William, and I think that has subsided. One other benefit I noticed is like Jen calls it, Aunt Flo is a lot nicer. It's not as painful. I used to have on occasion really painful cramps to the point I just needed to sit down or things like that, and I really don't have that, and it's just regular. I'm not on birth control anymore. I was on that. I'm not on that anymore, and it's still really regular and still really good. So, that summarizes a lot of things. I also noticed, sorry, I just thought of another one, that I really don't need to eat as often, which is really nice. When I'm at work, I can just focus on work. I'm not super hungry all day, constantly looking for the next meal. And something connected to that is when I was at my heaviest, I would constantly think about food. And now that mental chatter is completely diminished. And so I think those are a lot of really good changes that I've had, and most of them I would say happened within the first 30 days, but some of those that I listed happened after and along the way.
Awesome. Thanks. Yeah, that's I just love hearing everyone's stories again and again. It never gets old, just it just hits you again. And when you remember something like that, it's oh yeah, and this, oh yeah, and that. It's it's sometimes easy to forget all of the things that are different now, and even somebody like me who has had my ups and downs, and I still have things that I'm troubleshooting and dealing with, although I've made some progress. And I don't want to spoil it today because I'm running a new experiment, guys, and it's been working. So we'll see. If two other good things happen, then I'll go ahead and announce it. But I don't want to I don't want to jinx it. But I've had my ups and downs, but I still look back, and that's why I like doing this topic or this idea, because it's going back and thinking about, okay, what was it like at 30 days? For me, I did notice my mood and the brain fog thing, the mental clarity was there. And I've had my fluctuations in and out for whatever reason, whether it's oxalate stuff or hormone stuff or whatever it is. But I remember that just feeling that fog lifts, as soon as you start getting that fat content in and taking the junk out, after the first couple of weeks. And then around 60 days, that's kind of when I was struggling with my digestion. I couldn't quite dial in my electrolytes right. I felt like I was kind of getting backed up on the one hand, and then I was too, frequently, it was happening too frequently on the other end. And so, yeah, I'm trying to think back to my 60-day update. I think that's mainly what was going on then. So it just took me a while. I think by 90 days, I had kind of gotten a handle more on the electrolytes. And that's probably about when I started making them at home, was it? Maybe a little bit before that. But then 6 months, that's really where I was okay, I need some more information here. That's when I started trying the Lion diet, and then my sleep got all messed up. And then I started tracking macros, and that's when I really upped my fat. And I think that is the moment when I actually got fat adapted. I don't think I was fat adapted the entire time up until like month 7, 6 or 7, when I really, it was like February. March. Yeah, March. That's when I started tracking ketones. And that, like, now I feel different, you know? And I kept thinking up until that point, I'm like, I just don't feel like I did the first time. Like, I just don't feel that, you know, like there was an element that I felt better in my mood and brain fog and stuff like that. But like the energy wasn't there. And, you know, the digestion wasn't quite right. And I was still struggling with skin issues, and mainly it was just energy. I was super, super tired. And even though I was sleeping a lot, I didn't feel rested. Like, it was just, you know, wasn't feeling like things were dialed in. And so I'm such a huge proponent now of just, you know, we have all the great experts out there, the doctors and everybody, which is amazing. But I still think that it's easy sometimes to get stuck in, well, these are the things that should work. And this is, you know, it should be this simple. But then if it's not, if I'm not feeling great, how do I troubleshoot that? And how do I tweak things and try to figure out, you know, how to improve further? And so that's really been what I try to document, is like, if I'm an expert at anything, it's just trying random stuff till I crack the code. You know what I mean? Like, that's how I got to this diet in the first place, was just trying different things and cutting things out until I finally felt good. And so that's what I'm doing right now. Maybe I should spoil it for everybody, who's all the 53 people in here right now. Should I? Or should I hold out? I can't keep secrets. I'm cutting the salt out. I'm trying essentially not zero salt, but I'm going like very low salt for a while to see if that is what is continuing to inflame my skin, because I may pull this up. I had a screenshot of it. What did it say? Because my skin's been flaring up, and I've had this intermittent joint pain in my knees, and then my digestion. I've been having like loose stools more and more frequently, and it was like good for a while. And then when I tried the Lion diet, it was kind of okay again the second time. And then it's just been like every day. And I'm like, this isn't normal. What is happening? And I'm thirsty all the time. And so I got to thinking, like, maybe I'm just doing too much salt. And one of you guys had commented, I don't know, months and months back about psoriasis, and said that you cut salt out and then your skin cleared up. And I thought, well, that can't be right? I got to eat tons of salt, right? That's what everybody says. But then I got to looking it up. And so with people with psoriasis, there's a, here it is. This is the AI overview. So I don't know how much I trust the robots yet, but it says a study found that sodium can accumulate in the skin of people with psoriasis at concentrations that exceed serum levels. This can lead to increased inflammation related to IL-17, which is crucial to psoriasis. People with psoriasis also have twice the amount of sodium in their sweat and 4 times the amount of potassium than those without psoriasis. Decreasing skin sodium may improve psoriasis, especially in patients with a PASI score of greater than 5. I don't know what that is. But so, you know, it's possible that I could be just oversalting, and that could be, it's also could be related to joint pain. It also could be related to even fatigue. So like almost like the low signs of not enough sodium. If you get too much, it can sort of mimic that. And so, and then the digestion. So the last 3 days, this is day 3 of eating much, much lower salt. I've cut it out of my electrolyte mix. I've just been putting magnesium and potassium in my water. And then I had like some salted butter, but then today I've just like stopped salting my food, had unsalted butter. And then I just had club soda, which has like 500 milligrams and 12 ounces of sodium citrate. And I haven't had a digestive problem in 3 days since I cut my salt way back, like 0. Like I have flat stomach again, don't feel any weird cramping, gurgling, running to the bathroom after I eat. Been able to eat, you know, I've actually been able to eat more meals now, which I think maybe was why I was just not feeling good eating multiple meals, because, you know, it was just, my stomach felt messed up all the time. So, you know, there again, it's just, maybe that's not for everybody, but it's just something to experiment with. So I'm in month 10, still, you know, looking at different things that I can try, but overall, I'm off caffeine, I'm off alcohol, I'm off carbs. I don't binge eat anymore. If I ever like even get close to binge eating, it's on carnivore food, you know? So it's like, at least there's that, instead of going for chips, which used to be like my biggest weakness. You know, I just like go buy a huge bag of chips and eat the whole thing, and or, you know, drink a bottle of wine, or do something like that to mask whatever I was feeling. And now I don't do that anymore. Now I go to yoga, or we go to the park, or I go to self-hypnosis, or I do something else, you know, and I don't feel that as often because I'm getting nutrition. So there again, like, kind of the fundamental issues that I came into this with aren't completely resolved yet, like akin to probably, you know, people's weight loss journeys. Like, you hit a stall and then it's like, I still want to lose 20 more pounds or whatever. But I'm in this for the long haul as well, because I know here's all these other little benefits that have stacked up over time, and the mental health side of it, and the mood, and the ability to self-regulate, and, you know, my appetite control, and all those things are much more stable. Like, to me, that's just winning all day anyway. So the other stuff can catch up, and it will. And I'm like, you know, all of you mentioned, like, I know that everything will continue to improve with time. And so, and patience. And so that's the way I'm trying to approach it. So, and if y'all have another comment.
I forgot to say the part about my shoulder. So because people were talking about their shoulder. So at one point we had just gotten to Las Vegas. This was a few years ago, and my shoulder just like decided it was going to freeze up. So I had frozen shoulder, and it hurt so bad too. And the whole time we were there, I was just like crying and not sleeping, and it was like the worst pain ever. As soon as we came home, like, I drove myself straight to the ER. Like, I didn't even sleep a night. Like, we were home late, and I was like, went there. They just like gave me some pain meds, which didn't really do anything, and whatever. And then I went to my, you know, actual doctor, and she was like, never go to the ER for something like this. I was like, but it just hurt so bad. Anyway, and then, you know, I got referred to a specialist. But by the time, those take so long when you have an HMO, and I don't know, maybe when you have other things, it takes long too, but it was like 6 weeks, you know, till my appointment. And by the time the appointment came, you know, it had loosened back up, but like, I could barely even lift my arm. Fortunately, it was my left arm, and I'm right-handed, so I could still work and stuff. And this was way before my proper human diet times. This was, you know, I don't know, 6 or 7 years ago. But what I heard was that it's like some kind of weird, like, calcium thing that gets stuck in the joint or something. I don't know, but I'm like, well, and people told me once you have it once, it's going to recur. It's going to recur. So I will say that my joints feel so much better. Like I had told you guys about my knee and my hand. It's like all my joints just kind of feel looser. And if I had to bet, I would bet that my shoulder doesn't freeze up again, which is super cool. So hopefully it doesn't. I'm kind of, you know, just waiting to see. I really hope it doesn't. I know other people, like my mother-in-law, it happened once and then it happened 2 more times. So it's like once it happens once, it tends to keep happening, unfortunately. But I'm hoping that's going to be another benefit, is that that's not something that's ever, because I don't ever want that. That was horrible. I couldn't lift my arm for weeks and it hurt really bad. So.
Yeah, I've heard that is extremely painful. I mean, yeah, just imagine, like, I've had a pretty sore shoulder from like working out before, you know, and I can't even imagine that, because it's like is it a muscle thing, or is it like a calcium buildup?
It's like a calcium buildup in the joint that like locks up the joint, I think. I'm not an expert, you guys, but that's vaguely what I remember. Like I said, it was a long time ago. And the doctor was just like, oh, it'll just kind of break up eventually, and then your shoulder will free itself up, you know? And I was like, well, that stinks. But I'm wondering if, now that I know what I know about oxalates, I'm wondering if it's like an oxalate kind of situation, because I did used to eat a ton of spinach back in the day when I thought it was healthy.
Yeah, I did too. I ate so many like potatoes, sweet potatoes, dark chocolate. I went through a big quinoa phase, back in the day and stuff. So spinach salads all the time. And that's what I wonder if that's what's going on with my knees. Because I've had but I've had ankle injuries too. But my left knee, I had an injury a while back that I just never went to the doctor for, and it never healed right. So there would always be like this fluid little pocket that would just kind of fill up sometimes and then go away, which didn't hurt. But I was always like, why is there this like fluid ball right here? And then it would kind of just go away. But this knee really started hurting at first. And now it's both knees. So I'm like, maybe it's just that, maybe there's just crystals coming out of those joints and that's what's coming through my skin. But I guess I'm spoiling everything today. But I also tried, because I thought, you know what, if I really want to know if it's oxalates, I should try drinking the tea. I should try adding some oxalate back in and see if it, things back off. And according to Sally Norton, if you take something liquid oral, like a black tea or something, within an hour or two, you should notice a difference, especially if it's arthritic. Like if you're just like racked with pain, she says, drink the tea, super strong tea, and you should feel it. Well, I got decaf because I can't tolerate any caffeine. I don't want any caffeine. Black tea, which used to always make me sick. Like I remember brewing it at the restaurant every morning, and just the smell of it would like give me gas. Like, to be honest, it would just like make my stomach upset just smelling that tea. So I would never drink it. But I did this time and it gave me a stomach ache, but nothing else happened. And I did like one tea bag, so I thought, well, maybe I need to do the double tea bag, like she says. So the next day I tried a double tea bag and it gave me a headache. But nothing else nothing else really changed. So I thought, I don't know, maybe I didn't give it long enough, but I still had joint pain all day. And so I'm like, I don't know, maybe it is, maybe it isn't. And that's when I went to the salt thing. I was like, well, maybe I'm just, eating way too much salt, which is a bummer because it tastes good. And see, there's the other thing. It's like, I've been salting to taste.
Yes.
My water doesn't even taste salty to me with a gram, per serving, two servings a day, plus salt on my food, plus club soda that has salt in it. Like I was fine with that, but it's apparently too much. So I don't know.
Well, I'm interested to see, because I've been salting to taste too. Sometimes I wonder though, because I do use like a pre-made electrolyte as well. And I think I really need the magnesium because I get leg cramps at night if I don't have it. But I wonder if I do need all of that sodium, because I do put quite a bit of Redmond salt or flake salt on my steaks, like quite a bit, because it tastes delicious that way.
Yeah, I think the one thing I'd like to add is kind of what you were saying, Nia, about like just adding things back in and taking them out. I think like the diet serves really well to that. Like it's an elimination diet too. So if you don't know what's kind of bugging you, I would recommend the carnivore diet just because you can take things out and gradually add them back in and see how it affects your body. I had to, we are all kind of talking about plateaus. I've had a couple plateaus since starting, and really, just seeing what I need to take out is really helpful because even on the carnivore diet, like you said, Nia, like the salt influenced you, and like for me, I noticed like cheese at one point and dairy, like I had to kind of back down on that within the carnivore diet because I had it pretty much since the beginning. And then at some point, I think my body was just like, yeah, I can't do all the dairy anymore. And so that really helped me move forward within the carnivore diet. And occasionally I'll have it, but like, it's nothing that really influences me too bad. I think it's just the amount of dairy that I was having before, because I would still incorporate like milk some of the time or cheese or sour cream, like those sorts of things within my meals. So I think it just helps us see kind of how our body's reacting to different things.
I agree. And sometimes I feel bad for doing that because I'm like, oh, I should stay strict forever until I heal and then try to add things back in. But, you know, that's the weird sort of catch-22 with this stuff. It's like with the oxalate, especially, it's almost like the cleaner you get, the harder, you know, stuff comes out and the more toxic it can be. So it's like sometimes you may need to back off a little bit and add some things in, or, you know, change things a little bit. And so that's what's so hard, at least from my perspective, is like, well, whatever, I'll find a tea that I can tolerate, a decaf tea, if that's what it takes, you know, to like clear up my skin for a while and not have to deal with my itchy, weird knee patch, which I will say if I jinx it, you guys, and it's back tomorrow, I'm going to be so mad. But, but it's like, I feel like, could I even show you guys? It's usually so itchy, and it's like, I don't know if you can see in this light. Can you see it? It's like basically it's turning very light pink, white. It's almost gone. And I've had sun, which helps a lot, but it was itching. Every time I ate, it was itching after that. And I thought, oh, I'm reacting to something I ate, right? It must be the ground beef. It must be histamine, or it must be the egg yolks. Maybe I got some white in there that I'm reacting to. And I'd just be like on this hamster wheel, right? Of like, what is it? What is it? But it was the salt, I think. I think I was just doing way too much salt because it hasn't itched in like the last 2 days, and it's starting to fade. So I'm like, oh, maybe that's it. But I felt like I really needed salt in the beginning. You know, I felt like when I added electrolytes in, it really helped with my energy, you know, and it did help with my digestion because I was a little bit backed up in the beginning, and, you know, having that extra sodium and stuff like helped move things through. So there again, like things can change depending on where you're at in your health journey. But I will say this knee spot on my knee I've had for close to 2 years now, I'd say. It's the longest singular piece of psoriasis I've ever had. Usually with the gutate form, one will pop up, and within, I mean, the longest usually is like 3 months before it goes away. It'll just be a little spot or something. But this one has grown, and it's been on my body for almost 2 years. So before I started Carnivore, you know, it was there, and then it was just kept slowly getting bigger. And now it's with sun and taking more, you know, I'd say 60-70% of the salt out of my diet, it's seeming like it's backing off. So we'll see though.
Oh, sorry. And two, like, I'm thinking back to, you know, just the standard American diet. So many things are just packed with salt. So if salt was the issue, it probably would have started there and carried on, like you said, into carnivore. And then if you're salting your food a lot, that would make more sense. I never knew that something like that was influenced by salt, but it's good that you're talking about it in case somebody else kind of is in that shoe or in those shoes.
So Nia,
Yeah.
when you say that you're still taking the magnesium and is it potassium, is it just the same ones that you were making your electrolyte mix with, but just leaving the sodium out?
Yes. So I'm actually editing that into a video today, which I'll hopefully finish tomorrow. Just like a cooking what I make in a week type of video.
Okay.
But I made, so the last update on the electrolyte video that I did, I made smaller batches. So I did like a 1 serving table and then a 10 serving and a 30 serving, instead of making like the 250, 300 serving one. It's like, because I thought, I'm like, I'm going to try to experiment with adding some of that calcium citrate in again for the oxalate experiment. I did that for 10 days and then took it back out just to see. And then I ran out of, so I made a 30-day of the normal stuff, and then I just ran out of that. So I thought, perfect, now's the time to make like a smaller batch. So I just made a 10 serving batch of just using the same magnesium malate and the potassium chloride. And then just, you know, weighed those out in 10 servings and then figured out which, it's a 1/4 teaspoon, you know, scoop to get the proper amount for one. And I've only been doing one of those a day. And then just like maybe, because I would say if I had to guess, I was probably eating on average at least 3 grams a day of sodium like probably 3 to 5 if I really counted everything, including that club soda that I bought intentionally because it had sodium. Because the seltzer water doesn't, which I'm going to go buy some of that tomorrow. Because I would notice sometimes when I drank a lot of club soda, it's like that would give me, you know, the runs a little bit. And then some people have said, oh, the carbonation, you know, but maybe it's just that I was buying the stuff that had salt and I was eating too much. So I don't know, guys, but we'll see. But yeah, I'm just doing magnesium and potassium once a day now so far, and I feel pretty good. Pretty good.
So Nia, there's a comment from Robert Kramer who says he's thinking of getting started and just not sure where to start. I didn't know if you wanted to address that.
Okay, yes, I will scroll down here. I had one starred. I guess I'll have to go back up. Robert. Oh, here you are. Okay. Thinking of getting started. I've been researching, but just not sure where to start. Well, you know, I would say if you're doing research, you're probably going to come across Dr. Berry, Dr. Chafee, Dr. Baker. You know, those are probably the top 3 names that come to mind that all have great, very educational videos about how to get started. And it's really simple. I mean, there's nuance. Like it kind of depends on where you come from. There are people that will say just going cold turkey is easier. And then there are some people that advise against that, and oxalate dumping being one of those issues. And I think coming from a super low fat diet previously and then going to a high fat diet with no carbs can cause some problems too that might be a little bit too difficult to deal with. So going slower would be, you know, advisable under those circumstances, in my opinion. But what do you all think?
So I like everything you said. That was awesome. I would say so I went keto first and then I went carnivore and I went through ketovore. So I did go in slowly and I still had some adaptation symptoms, meaning I was in the bathroom for 3 weeks. It was not fun. So I would say just be prepared for that. Maybe a time when you are able to, like, I'm a teacher and I happen to be on summer vacation. So that was good for me to be able to get through that time. And then also my son just started, and I would say first I started him just because he's 15. I think you need to like take into account where you're coming from, as Neo was saying. So he was coming from a diet of like processed chicken nuggets and hot pockets, right? And then what did I do? Well, thank goodness. I think JT made the video, but he said it was your idea, Anna. But those pizza pockets, you know, with just the cheese, he loves those, and now he can make them himself, and that's great. Yeah, and then I started making my own chicken nuggets with either just ground chicken, or I've used even just the chicken tenders and like, you know, breaded them with the pork panko and some Parmesan. And he liked all of those. And at the beginning, he ate a lot of that stuff. So I would say go to like Chris Cooking Nashville or somewhere like that if you don't want to just jump right in, because there's a lot of good, like, you know, mimicking kind of foods to help you transition. Because that, I mean, my son being 15, I was just crossing my fingers. He stuck to it for 4 months now, you guys. I only asked him for 1, so it must be doing something right for him. Now a lot of times, I mean, now he's starting to prefer like chuck roast. I'm like, do you want like pizza pockets or chuck roast? And he's like, chuck roast, you know? So he's even gravitating. I'm not saying he never eats them, but he used to eat them 4 nights a week. And now he eats them maybe 2 nights a week. And he'll go for the meat like of his own choice now. So he's kind of gravitating more towards, you know, the beef or whatever, which I think is super cool. So I would say, so Robert, I would say wherever you're coming from, if you're coming from a low fat way of eating, you got to consider that, and don't just try to up your fat right away, because you'll be sorry. Like up it a little bit at a time or things like that. So Anna, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of went in full force, so I had a little bit of a different experience. I will say I grew up kind of meat heavy, like we had meat with a lot of meals, so I think that's where I didn't mind jumping right in. But I think, everybody's a little bit different and what's going to help them. So you really have to think of yourself and how should you approach this? And maybe you can start by removing a couple things, that get you closer to the keto or the carnivore. And then as you feel more comfortable, whenever that is, decrease a little bit more, cut something out, and just gradually ease yourself in if that is what's best for you. But if you feel the inclination to go full, try it. And then, like Jen from home said, how had to back off from it. So like, it's not something that like once you start it, you have to keep going. Like if you need to adjust as you go and you need to keep some things in until you're a little more adapted to it, I think that's okay. Everybody's gotta do this at their own pace. Everybody's weight loss journey and health journey is a little bit different, and so I think that's super important to see kind of where, like Chrissy said, where you're coming from and go from there, and also your comfort level and keeping going forward. It's not a race. You got to take it one day at a time and just try to do your best with it. So that's my perspective.
Yeah, I agree with all that. I think this is such a mindset shift too when coming to this diet. I know we've talked about that kind of in like the fad diet topic, I think a few weeks back, where it's like, no, this is a lifestyle and this is a commitment to, and not to say that you can't ever get off the carnivore diet or add things back in if you want to, but it's like when you get to a place where you're willing to try this and you're willing to actually commit to, let's say 90 days, I'm going to do this. I'm going to go through the adaptation. I'm going to do whatever it takes to balance things out and get to the other side. That's a lot, that means a lot. And that's showing that you're committing to your long-term outcomes, right? Not just a short-term, I want to lose weight, or short-term, hey, I just want to clear up my skin so that I look good for this party or whatever. And then I'll go back to my bad habits later. It's like, no, this is for real. Like, I'm going to do this because I want to be a better mother. I want to be a better partner. I want to be a better YouTuber, right? I want to serve people in a more positive way and, help change people's lives and inspire people. And so I can't do that if I'm sick. I can't do that if I'm bouncing back and forth and not fully committed to my own health. And that means that you have to make that a priority. And so whether you start carnivore or you start keto or you start anything, I mean, there's a good argument that even a vegetarian or vegan diet is better than standard American, right? At least you're cutting out the processed food and all the junk. I mean, I think most of us here would argue that this one, carnivore or keto is going to provide you with the most nutrient dense options, right? And the essential nutrition and in the most bioavailable form that your body needs to heal and rebuild things and rebuild your hormones and all that kind of stuff. But really, any change you make, any step you take, no matter how small it seems to you, cutting one thing out, cutting out pop, or cutting out, the Starbucks coffees and switching to regular black coffee, or, any little change like that is actually a huge step in the right direction. And so I think that's something that I hear reiterated all the time in this community, which I think is really important to highlight, is that we're not just in this for a Band-Aid quick fix. Let me sacrifice everything for 90 days and then kind of see where I can cheat and go back and, have it both ways. It's like, no, this is a commitment. And with that being said, even just one step forward in that direction is a good thing. And so you can always build upon your success. You can always build upon the habits that you set in place. And oftentimes that is the best way to start, because when you get those little wins and you start to see changes like we're talking about in 30 days, it's like, holy crap, this, I can be different. My life can be different. I can feel different. I can really be who I am. And then you go 90 days and you realize, oh my gosh, this happened. I thought this was going to be with me for the rest of my life. And then you have a stall, and then you go 6 months, and then you're like, hey, I made it. You know what I mean? Like, and you keep progressing. That's the juice. You know what I mean? That's where you get that intrinsic motivation from, to keep going because you want to keep going. not because somebody is telling you this is the best way to eat, or someone's, telling you that you should cut these things out. It's like because you experienced it and you want to continue to feel better. And that's why I'm still doing this and troubleshooting and all this kind of stuff, is because I still, I want to continue to feel better. And it's for me, it's not about, well, I mean, it is actually about other people, because I want to be a good mom, and all that, those parts of the foundation of my why. But I have to put myself as a priority, and my health as a priority, in order to be the best for other people. So that was my soapbox. Set it over here so no one else can talk. But yeah, Robert, get started, even if it's just something small, that you can start today, and then next week add something else, and then the week after that build upon that, and then whenever you're ready and you want to go full carnivore, then go for it, and we're all here for you. Okay, I started this one because I thought we could comment on this too. It's Jolene says, I'm struggling so much to be consistent. It's really hard. I get nauseous from eating just meat, and it's all the same texture. Maybe y'all have a comment. I mean, we kind of touched on this a little bit, I guess, in terms of like, different things you can eat in the beginning, or maybe we haven't. So what would you all say about variety and, getting over palate fatigue?
Sorry, you can go ahead, Christy.
Okay, no worries. I was just going to say at the beginning, I mean, a lot of it can be the same texture. I find now that that doesn't really bother me so much. But at the beginning, I ate a lot more. Like I'd have bacon and eggs almost every day because it's like crunchy, and then I like the runny yolk. And then I would make like my carnivore muffin, which is just the pork panko, butter, and an egg, and a little bit of baking soda, and it makes like this muffin thing that's like super delicious with the bacon and egg. Every now and again, I still make one. So you get a little bit of the like bread-like texture with the crunchy, with the runny egg. It was really good. And like I said, I still eat that sometimes, but I would eat that almost every single day at the beginning. And then I would have, like, for my other meal, I would have, a ribeye or some picanha or some chicken thighs. And then that's the other thing is, I don't know if you're eating only beef, but like every now and again, if, I will throw in some pork, like a pork shoulder or some pork ribs, or I will throw in some chicken thighs, usually with the skin on, because I prefer it that way. But sometimes I just don't want I wish they did like take the bone out, but leave the skin on. I can't find them like that. I'm too lazy to take the bone out myself. But anyways, I digress. The last couple times I bought chicken, I bought it like the boneless, skinless thighs, just because I didn't want to deal with, I just wanted to cut it with a knife and eat it. I didn't want to anyway. But yeah, so I'll throw in like I said, some chicken or some pork, maybe once every couple of weeks, just because I just feel like, it's not like I feel super bored, but it's like, oh, that would just be nice for a little change, And then, for texture, sometimes at the beginning, sometimes I would even just eat some pork rinds. I do that super rarely now. I mostly use the pork rind crumbs. And then one recipe that I really like that I do it for my son, but if I make it for him, I'll usually eat a couple, is, like I said, it's the chicken tenders. The chicken breast tenders, and then I will dip them in egg. And then it's like, I don't remember the ratio, the recipe's on my channel, but it's the pork rind crumbs and then Parmesan cheese. And then you dip them in that. And then when you air fry them, they get like really crispy on the outside, and they're really good. So I'm just trying to think of like texture. I don't have a nauseous, I can't really help you with the nauseous thing. I don't know if the two of you other ladies can. I loved meat always. I could always eat if there was 2 ribeyes, I would always eat the bigger one. My husband would get the smaller one because, yeah, I'm getting the bigger ribeye. I never have had an issue with like, oh, meat is just. I know there's a lot of, especially women. I hear other women telling me a lot that they have that issue, but that's just never been my experience. So.
Yeah, the only time I've ever been nauseous from meat was when I was pregnant with William. That's the only time, and I'm like interested to see. It's kind of a side thing, but interested to see if we do have another one. We're not determined or anything, but if we do have another one, like how carnivore will be a little bit, or like how my experience will be different. I don't really have good recommendations for nauseousness, but I do agree with Christy, like trying different things, playing around, trying eggs and bacon. If you like that. Trying other meats. I sometimes will have shrimp too. So like keeping seafood in there too. If you like that, I know sometimes that can be kind of tricky for people. I also dipped into pork rinds as well. I still do on occasion, but that's kind of tapering off. Um, but trying to look up carnivore recipes, obviously you have to look into what the videos are, what the recipes are, what's in there. But trying different things because some things are, you can incorporate and it will be different. Like Christy said with the muffins, or like I made those pizza pockets. You just don't have them with sauce, but like they're really good, especially if you have that craving for pizza. It kind of nips it in the butt. Um, so I think that trying different things, um, like for William, it's not completely clean, but like the summer sausage is another one, and it's to me that's a pretty different texture from like ground beef or something like that. So kind of along the same lines, I feel like just exploring and giving yourself the room to do that, and maybe you just have to look into some more channels or more websites that have more options. But I do say like try other things other than beef just to see what your tastes are.
And one other thing that I make it for my son all the time, like maybe not all the time, like once a week because on a weekend. And then occasionally, I don't know, once every couple of months, I'll eat some too. But it's like the carnivore crepes or pancakes, depending on how you make them. And it's just like the Equip Prime, which is prime protein powder, which is beef isolate protein, and some eggs and some cream cheese. Oh my gosh, those are delicious. And that's a completely different texture too. So anyway, sorry, Nia.
Your princess dress? It's in the washer. The only thing I would add to that is temperature. So sometimes, or like, I know like the rendered fat, a lot of people say makes them nauseous. That's the only time I've experienced any degree of nausea is just like eating a huge bolus of fat, eating a bunch of butter at one time in the beginning, or there was a time when I was like scooping room temperature tallow onto like my ground beef and just eating it. And if I would eat, way more than I needed, then it would make me feel nauseous. But I know some people say that like eating their meat cold or room temp versus hot helps with that too. So that might be something to try as well, at least for a temporary period, and see if that helps. Oh, you found your other one? She got to wear a princess dress. Okay, did we see any other questions? I didn't notice anything else, but okay. Steak and Bargal. Bella just talked about being nauseous after eating. Yeah, I think I remember her talking about that too. I think it could be the rendered fats. I think she was talking about that, where don't eat the liquid stuff if you can help it in the beginning. Okay, we're changing into a princess dress over here. Oh, it's okay. Karen says that's what she was saying. Eat it cold. Yeah, maybe that's where I heard that. I've heard some pregnant ladies say this too, like keto or carnivore-ish too, is like try like the cold cuts, or cold meat instead of hot. I used to always eat my stuff cold. Always.
Now that I found that I enjoy picanha so much, that's what I'll do for lunch. So I cut it up into like picanha bites and I eat it cold, like I had left for lunch at work today. It's delicious.
I was just gonna say I love grabbing like a bit of steak out of the fridge sometimes if I have stuff left over. Usually I just finish it, but like if I have some left over, it's really nice.
Mm-hmm. I know, for speaking of cold things, I just thought of, and I don't know. So I'm in the group Meat Sisters. Have you joined the Meat Sisters group yet, Anna? Because it's fantastic on Facebook.
No, I haven't, but I should check them out.
Go on Facebook and look for Meat Sisters. It's Limitless Lindy's group, and she does this drink. I can't remember the ingredients. I know there's like egg yolks, but it's cold and it's blended and it's like icy, and it's cold and icy and egg yolk and some other things. And she calls it a culotta. So I wish I knew better, because it didn't sound something that I might necessarily enjoy. But then some people are putting it in the Ninja Creamy and like making it into almost like an ice cream. I'm like, well, that I might go for. But anyway, my point is that's like something cold and icy and creamy that I know. And several people tried it. Like, she posted it on that group. Several people tried it and were like, oh, thank you, this is delicious. So anyway, Meat Sisters, for any of you female carnivores or ketovores or keto people out there, it's a great group on Facebook where you'll find lots of support.
That's awesome. I need to get back on Facebook. I have a profile now, but I never go on it. I need to go join a couple groups maybe. All right. Well, we have just hit the hour here. So anybody have any final thoughts or comments or anything you want to add? This was cool. Thanks everybody for the chat tonight and your questions and comments. That was good. Everybody's helping each other out down here. And yeah, I enjoyed talking with you ladies.
That was good to talk with you too. I mean, the only final thought is just, kind of along the first comment that we pulled up, was just like trying to research it and just thinking through what's best for you, because I think some people, when you look at it, it's very like alarming to people just because of where we've come from, what our society is like. And so just, researching and kind of coming up with a plan, kind of like Mia was saying, of like, I'm going to do this for this period of time, and then I might change it a little bit. I think that's really important when you're starting this journey, and not just like jumping in and, then you have all these difficulties. So I think the thing for me that, it took some time to resolve was just like the bowel movements and everything. So that's why I say, like, look into it so that you can be prepared for what you're going to experience if you start the carnivore lifestyle or keto lifestyle. I think that's my final thought. But I appreciate your guys' time too. It's nice to hang out these days.
Yeah, thanks for doing this, Nia. Thanks for inviting me every single week. I always feel so sad if I miss it. I think I've only missed like 2 because I just have so much fun talking with everybody on here. And I would say that if you do hit a speed bump, because you might, I mean, this community is so awesome. So I'm very sure that if you reached out, I mean, come on any of these lives, reach out on our channels, join a Facebook group, whatever you got to do, and then do your research, like Anna was just saying, because you might have to try several things. And also don't try it for like 3 days. Well, that didn't work. Like, you have to give something enough time to work, and try one thing at a time. And so sometimes it's frustrating, right? Because you just want the issue to be better. And why isn't it better? That's how I feel about, my current weight situation. But I'm just going to keep on going. So I would advise you to do the same. And I hope that you get some benefit, or have had some benefit, right away, because I know that's what's been motivating me. So thanks everyone for watching it. And yeah, I appreciate all of you guys in the chat today too.
Yeah, thanks everybody. And thanks ladies and JT back there for joining me tonight. I really appreciate your time. And well, there he is. Thanks to all of you for your time tonight, and everybody in the chat. Let's see, we're going to do another one on the 30th next week. And then I'm going to be leaving very early in the morning to drive down to Austin for.
I won't be here on the 30th because my flight to Austin is on the 30th.
Okay, yeah, I'm wondering, like, am I going to be solo, or is everybody going to be
I
traveling?
will be at the Brazilian steakhouse with my mom and my mom's cousin. That's where I'll be.
Okay. So we'll see, but yeah, I do plan to have one next week still, for anybody that wants to join. And yep, I'll see anybody Sunday for Carnivore Campfire Live, and more videos coming up. Make sure to hit the links and subscribe to everybody's channel down below. I'll leave those as I always do at the end, and we'll see y'all next week. Oh, there's an Illy sighting. Oh, she just picked her nose too. Okay, bye.